So last night's episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV, of course, was the go-home episode before Hard to Kill this coming Saturday on pay-per-view. And we had a big main event as we had the Impact World Champion Rich Swann against one half of the Impact World Tag Team Champions Karl Anderson, champion versus champion. But the important part of it, of course, is that both men's tag team partners for Hard to Kill, so on Rich Swann's side of things, the Motor City Machine Guns, and on Karl Anderson's side of things, the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega and Doc Gallows were banned from ringside, so it was just a singles contest. But Rich Swann ultimately came out on top. But it's what happened after the match that certainly has people talking, or has a lot of people talking, heading into AEW Dynamite tonight, of course, but also Hard to Kill on Saturday. Now, after taking a big loss this week to Impact World Champion Rich Swann, Karl Anderson and his teammates Doc Gallows and, as I mentioned, the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega initiated a brawl against Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, ahead of their six-man main event tag team match at Hard to Kill on Saturday. Now this week, as I mentioned, Anderson and Swann competed in the main event on Impact, where both teams were banned from ringside. In the beginning of the match, Karl Anderson was working over Rich Swann's injured shoulder, causing the world champion to struggle throughout the match. But towards the end of the match, Swann was able to pull through and get the victory via a roll-up pinfall. Now, upset that their partner then lost the match, Omega and Doc Gallows made their way backstage to attack the Motor City Machine Guns. Anderson and then Swann joined their partners to level the playing field, as it were, and the brawl continued as the screen faded to black. So it's going to be interesting to see what both teams have in store for the match on Saturday at Hard to Kill. Now, let's break this down piece by piece. First of all, they did another promo on the bus with the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, which I thought was like everything we had seen. I thought it was good. And frankly, I know I've seen some people criticizing this in the sense that, oh, it's very much the same, it's the same. You have to remember the timeline of when all of this stuff was filmed. It makes it very, very difficult. Impact, when it comes to the stuff inside the Impact Zone, inside the ring, that was all filmed at the end of November as part of those marathon TV tapings for the end of 2020. When it comes to the AEW and Impact stuff involving Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, the Motor City Machine Guns and Rich Swann, that was actually filmed in December, at the end of December, or at least the start of December and then the end of December. So trying to put those two things together, trying to post-produce them and edit them together, I think they actually did a really good job. They did make it seem like, for the most part, that Kenny Omega was legitimately at Skyway Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, that he was legitimately in the Impact Zone. Of course, he never appeared inside the ring. Personally, for a split second there last night, I did think that Kenny Omega was actually going to appear inside the Impact Zone on the entrance ramp, because the way they did the match was interesting, because at the end of the match, so you had Rich Swann defeat Karl Anderson, and then Rich Swann's at the top of the ramp. He's celebrating, he's sort of waving to Karl Anderson, say, got you, I'll see you on Saturday. And then they show a split screen backstage where essentially you've got the Motor City Machine Guns here, they're celebrating, they're going, yes, that's the victory we needed. And then you have a clip of the bus where Kenny Omega and Don Callis have all been hanging out recently, but it's empty. There's no one there on the bus. So it was a subtle hint of, be careful guys, the Motor City Machine Guns, because they're going to attack you very, very soon, or they're going to attack Rich Swann. So for a split second there, for a very split second, I thought, oh man, they've actually gone to the Impact Zone. They're actually going to film some content with Kenny Omega inside the Impact Zone, inside the arena. And we're going to have Kenny Omega and Doc Gallows attack Rich Swann on the entrance ramp. We didn't get that. We then actually cut to backstage. The Good Brothers and Kenny Omega attacking the Motor City Machine Guns. And as I mentioned, then Rich Swann got involved. So it wasn't that. But for a split second, for a very split second, I did think we were actually going to see Kenny Omega inside the Impact Zone. But that will come. That will come in the future. That will come soon, possibly after Hard to Kill. Of course, there are rumours and reports that Kenny Omega is scheduled to headline more Impact Wrestling pay-per-views after Hard to Kill. So I would assume we might get Kenny Omega inside the Impact Zone on an Impact Wrestling episode on Access TV. Of course, he's going to be inside the Impact Zone, inside of an Impact Wrestling ring on Saturday for Hard to Kill. So that's very exciting, which means he's going to be there for the TV tapings. So I would assume that going forward, we're going to see Kenny Omega inside the Impact Zone on Access TV. So that's exciting. As far as the match between Rich Swann and Karl Anderson, I thought it was very good. I didn't have any problem with the outcome. I know some people were a bit, Karl Anderson, should he be losing to Rich Swann? Well, the answer is yes. He should be losing to Rich Swann. I know sometimes people might forget, considering that it's Kenny Omega involved here. He's the AEW World Champion. You've got this AEW and Impact Wrestling crossover. I know that kind of Rich Swann being the Impact World Champion has kind of been forgotten in that slightly, but at the end of the day, this is still the guy that's the top champion in Impact Wrestling. This is still the guy that's the world champion for Impact in all of this. So he has to beat Karl Anderson. I know Karl Anderson has been a singles performer before, and I know, the G1 finalist in 2012, Kenny Omega makes mention of it every single second on Impact Wrestling. I understand that, but ultimately this is the guy that is top of the food chain when it comes to singles wrestling in Impact. He's the world champion. So he needed to win. He needed to win. And on top of it, if you're looking at this with a bit of forward planning here, as it were, he had to win also because, frankly, they're not going to win on Saturday. I would be absolutely floored. I would be stunned if Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns win on Saturday. Not because they don't deserve to, not because they're not worthy of winning, but if you look at the storyline in here, it makes absolutely zero sense, really 0 cents for Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers to lose on Saturday. If they do, the storyline's dead. The storyline's dead on arrival. So it makes 0 sense for me to have those guys lose on Saturday because it's the first time, one, that Kenny Omega's appeared and competed inside of an Impact Wrestling ring. If he loses, what's special about that going forward? There is nothing special about that going forward. It's the first time in a long time that Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers have teamed up, having a New Japan reunion, all that kind of stuff. Again, it makes no sense if on their big reunion, the Bullet Club being reformed, possibly even the Young Bucks showing up as well. We'll touch on that in a second. It makes 0 sense for them to lose that this massive faction, this historic faction is coming back together, and they lose against Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. So have they teamed together before? Not really. So again, it makes 0 sense. From a chemistry point of view, from a booking point of view, from a storyline point of view, it makes 0 sense for Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers to lose on Saturday. Because you also want to set up the Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann World Championship match in the future too. So if Rich Swann beats Kenny Omega, he's not even worthy of a World Championship opportunity, is he? So everything's pointing in the direction of Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers winning on Saturday. Therefore, I suppose you need to give the perception that the Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns could win on Saturday. You do that by having Rich Swann beat Karl Anderson last night, and he's also the world champion. You've got to put a bit of respect on his name, as it were. So he has to win that match too. So I thought the booking made sense last night. I thought the brawl was a good way to go off the air. And frankly, they didn't have a lot of options as well. People say, well, we saw the brawl last week, or we saw that the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega attacked Rich Swann and the Machine Guns last week outside the tour bus. They don't have a lot of options. As I mentioned, we've got content that has been filmed and recorded at so many different points of time, and they're trying to stitch it all together and post-produce it all together and make it work. I think they've made it work very well. I do think they've made it work very well, and I think that was probably the hottest way they could go off the air last night to build to Saturday's pay-per-view. Now, I think this could bleed over to AEW Dynamite tonight. We did a video earlier today talking about Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone's latest paid advertisement on Impact Wrestling, so be sure to check that out. But I think, considering that Tony Khan has invited Impact names to come to AEW, I would think, considering we've got Hard to Kill on Saturday, that we might have a situation where the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, they're confirmed for AEW Dynamite tonight, New Year's Smash Night 2. I would think maybe we could see the Impact World Champion Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns appear tonight, try and get some retribution, some revenge after they've been attacked the last 2 weeks, attack Kenny Omega on his home turf and attack the Good Brothers whilst they're there with Kenny Omega, attack them tonight on Dynamite, and that also gives a massive push to Saturday's pay-per-view too. So I think we could see that tonight. So I don't think this is the end of this angle, as it were. Now when it comes to the Young Bucks, of course, there's so much speculation. Of course, Dynamite ended last week with the Young Bucks reuniting with Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, and Impact Executive Vice President Don Callis. Now, we didn't see any Young Bucks last night on Impact Wrestling. We saw them in the opening recap package because they were recapping what happened on Dynamite last week, but we didn't see any presence of them on the show. We didn't see any Generation Me or anything like that, but I would suspect that might be coming. I think maybe the reason we didn't see it last night, one, because they literally probably haven't filmed the content, frankly. That might have been a last-minute decision to pull the trigger on doing the Young Bucks joining them last week on Dynamite. But furthermore, I think maybe they're holding off on that because we could see the Young Bucks on Saturday. Now, I'm going to do a more in-depth look at that and potentially seeing how the Young Bucks could factor into Hard to Kill on Saturday. But possibly, the way they could do this, if Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns show up tonight on Dynamite, they get involved with maybe Jon Moxley, and then they attack the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, something like that. Possibly with the Young Bucks in the ring as well, getting involved in that. That gives the Young Bucks a reason to get involved in Saturday, which is how I think they'll factor into the finish. So I think the reason we didn't see anything Young Bucks-centric last night is because we'll probably see them on Saturday at Hard to Kill. And if they're there for Hard to Kill, as I mentioned before, how Impact tape all of their content, they're going to be doing Hard to Kill over the weekend, but over the course of those few days, they're also going to be taping much more episodes of Impact Wrestling on Access TV going forward. So they've got Kenny Omega there, they've got the Good Brothers there, they've got Don Callis there, and they're also, hopefully, if the Young Bucks are there on Saturday, we'll have the Young Bucks available for those future Impact tapings. So possibly we could see the Young Bucks, Generation Me, Max and Jeremy Buck, return to Impact Wrestling on Saturday at Hard to Kill. I think that might be sped up with what could happen tonight on Dynamite as well. This is all speculation on my part. I'm trying to read where this is going, but certainly it's going to be very interesting. So when it comes to what happened last night, I think it was predictable, and I think there has been some criticism. People saying, well, we've seen this before. Where's the progression here? They were limited. They were limited of what they could and couldn't do, frankly, when it comes to what happened last night on Impact on Access TV. I thought the main event was very good, champion versus champion. I thought the brawl afterward was very good. I really liked the shot of having the Motor City Machine Guns there celebrating, and then you had the empty tour bus. It was kind of like the Red Wedding deal in the sense that you knew what was going to happen to the machine guns before they realized, and you're sort of shouting at the screen, going, no, 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 because they're coming. But I also like they played up the drama of, are they going to attack the machine guns or are they going to attack Rich Swann? Because you didn't know. You really didn't know. And for a split second, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, for a very, very brief split second, I did truly think that we were going to have Kenny Omega's appearance in the Impact Zone come on the Hard to Kill Go Home episode of Impact Wrestling. But we don't have to wait too much longer because it's going to be on Saturday for Hard to Kill. So I'm very excited for that. And be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner, because when it comes to Hard to Kill, there's going to be so much Hard to Kill content coming this week. So we're going to be doing match previews for individual matches. We haven't even talked about Barbed Wire Massacre or anything like that. We're also going to be doing preview and predictions video. I'd love to get your preview and predictions, feature those in the videos. We're going to be doing possible surprises and maybe even some spoilers. We're also going to be doing a Hard to Kill watch along on Saturday, so be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner, click the notification bell, and then you won't have to worry. Whenever one of those videos goes live, or on Saturday when we do go live to watch Hard to Kill for the watch along, you'll be notified. You can come and join us. So very excited for all of that. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on the Hard to Kill main event teams brawling to end Impact Wrestling on Access TV last night? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved with the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get to people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.